Hello and welcome to Purchase Broadcast Studios. I'm your host, Ray Goodlett. On today's show, we're going to take a look at on-campus events like Aphrodisiac and Culture Shock, and we'll see how Purchase students are responding locally to nationwide issues.
And I'm your host, Dominic Esposito. Today, we'll also take a broader look at how construction and population changes are affecting some of the communities near Purchase College. Thanks for joining us here today.
On April 7th and 8th, the students of Afro E-Board held their annual two-day festival, Aphrodisiac. Despite facing some technical challenges, the performers still hit the stage with energy, stamina, and creativity, putting on memorable performances for the crowd. Purchase correspondent Sheldon Jones has a story for you.
On April 7th and 8th, the student-run club Afro held their annual festival, Aphrodisiac, with this year's theme being homecoming. This is Afro's 9th year throwing the event. The theme was thought of by chair of Afro's E-Board, Eliel Pacheco. Students gathered in the studio displaying excitement not only for the celebrity headliner, Bobby Shmurda, but also for the student performers of color.
That was a brief little intermission from everything, everyone kind of coming together purely to watch people perform. There weren't any DJ sets. There wasn't really that much dancing, that much moshing, anything like that. I mean, except for when Bobby came out. But I feel like people were just there, tuned into the artist on stage, listening to what it is that they're trying to communicate to the audience. And I don't know, it just felt like a very organic kind of exchange of music that you don't usually see on this campus. You don't usually see at the Studs. So I think that was pretty refreshing.
One of the many student performers that took the stage was Purchase artist Dom Ultra. Dom took the stage on night one and instantly gained the attention of the crowd. This didn't go without much effort and work though, as Dom took his own time to prepare and rehearse for the performance days and even weeks prior to hitting the stage. Through the performance, Dom was able to experience his music in a completely different way as he shared his music with the crowd for the first time.
I enjoyed all the strength of just the crowd and just going for it and just hearing my music that I've been hearing in my head, repeat, whether it's in my dorm right back here or when I'm back at home, just hearing it on the speakers and just hearing that shit just everywhere surrounding me, and then just rapping it and people just that shit is crazy. Watch people bump their heads to some shit that was it was usually just me. It was just me and three other people, and now it's everybody just oh yeah, this shit cool. It's different.
And while there were technical difficulties that had to be overcome, Aphrodisiac was still a success, providing students with a platform to show their musical and lyrical skills. The student performers brought the heat, showing resilience and stage presence in each performance.
As this semester comes to an end, Purchase College is preparing for more than just final exams. Culture Shock is an end-of-year celebration students look forward to every spring. The lineup of performers for the event was recently revealed to the Purchase community, both in person and in a social media post made by the Stud. Despite the usual excitement for Culture Shock, the reactions for this year's lineup were rather mixed.
The college experience is different for everyone, and every school has their own traditions. Here at Purchase College, we have Culture Shock, an annual weekend-long spring festival that takes place on campus just before the end of the semester. There's food, rides, games, and much more. But what everyone really looks forward to is the performances. Typically full of local artists, the lineup is announced at the Student Center, or the Stud, weeks before the event, and this year was no different. Here's what some students thought about the 2023 lineup.
I don't really know any of the names on the Culture Shock lineup, so I wasn't really that thrilled about it, considering that the past year where we were supposed to have it, and COVID messed things up. So when we were supposed to have it during the time of COVID, that's when the lineup was really good, and then obviously it got canceled. So I'm a bit bummed out by this year's lineup.
Honestly, I don't know anyone who's playing. Never heard of them, don't know them. But I am hoping this year to be really good, even though I don't know them. It's good to go to performances of people you never heard before, because then you get to learn about other type of performances and other artists.
The headliners, I don't know them very well. I think I may have heard of them. I'm excited. We've had some good ones in the past, so I'm sure this one will be good too.
Despite the lack of familiarity surrounding most of this year's performers, students still share a feeling of optimism and excitement towards the much-anticipated event. Culture Shock is set to take place on the weekend of April 28th as a send-off into final exam week.
According to ABC, in just 2003, over 200 different bills have been introduced to the United States with the intent on restricting LGBTQIA rights. These bills target transgender people seeking health care, LGBTQIA people experiencing freedom of speech, as well as weakening existing civil rights laws. Purchase correspondent Rin Foster spoke with Purchase College's LGBTQIA club concerning how the local community has been affected by these recent bills.
Over the past couple of years, hundreds of bills from across the nation have been proposed for the sole purpose of silencing the LGBT community, specifically transgender individuals. Anti-trans legislation is continuing to work its way through the United States, with a whopping 48 bills coming from just the state of Missouri. However, the people are proving they will not allow their LGBT brothers and sisters to be silenced by blatant bigotry from the government. Protests are popping up all over the country to oppose the recent discriminatory legislation, and the fight for civil rights continues. The LGBT community has been around since human beings have, and continues to grow stronger despite the government's attempts to throw it off its course. Back at Purchase, some queer and transgender students meet weekly at the LGBTQIA Club in the Multicultural Center on campus. The LGBTQIA Club has been an ongoing tradition at Purchase, the club first opening in the 1970s and still holding meetings today. Despite the major setbacks happening within our country, specifically affecting the LGBT community, these students still set time aside to create a safe space for their fellow peers. Open to all students, LGBT or not, the club allows for people to come craft, talk about their day, and unwind from the overall stress of being a college student.
The recent anti-trans legislation bills made me feel very scared, honestly. It was just for our future. I don't want trans people to be erased. We shouldn't be erased. We've always been here and we've always been visible.
I think it's similar to a lot of the push against hippie ideology in the 60s and 70s, where it's the government kind of and right-wingers kind of know that they're losing the battle, where especially because of it's younger generations who are more inclined to be trans and support trans people, and also just even if they're not trans, deconstruct gender norms in general. And I think the right wing is realizing that if they don't push back against this, their views are just going to kind of fade out.
At the end of the day, the only thing we have is community and power within the people. In the past, when major injustices have come to light in the United States, we have been strong, using our voice to create the change we'd like to see within our country. If we join forces with our fellow LGBT citizens, together we can continue the fight for civil rights and prevent unconstitutional discriminatory legislation from continuing to pass, and make this country a safer, stronger, and better place to be.
Purchase College is finishing up on construction just in time to move senior citizen residents into Broadview this fall. Broadview Senior Living Community is on campus near the West 1 parking lot. Purchase correspondent Belle Martinelli has the story.
Purchase College is getting ready to welcome some unusual new students. The Broadview Senior Living Community, under construction near the West 1 parking lot, will start moving in residents as soon as this fall. Broadview consists of either apartment or villa-style housing, with assisted living and memory care provided. The minimum age for residents is 65. Students at Purchase have mixed reactions about welcoming senior citizens to their college campus. However, many job opportunities will be offered to students from Broadview, and residents will be able to attend their plays, shows, and concerts, providing a new audience. Money from Broadview will be funneled back into the school for things such as student scholarships.
one day we were talking about downsizing, and Joe said, we should look for a place. We always said near a college where there's opportunities, and near, I guess, restaurants, and just, so I put in, I just went to Google and I searched for places, and lo and behold, Broadview popped up, and I said, look at this. He said, gee, it looks good. So I said, let me call. So I called right away, and we went and made an appointment, and we saw Amy post, and Amy was really, really excited, and she showed us everything, and we decided, there was nothing to lose by putting a down payment, which we did.
Yes, and the funny thing is, this project has been in the works for well over 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
I've been reading about it, but it just didn't happen. I guess there's a lot of negotiating with the state because we're on state property, etc. But one of the reasons we were interested is because we have to get out of the house with the stairs. Because I have a condition known as Parkinsonism. It's like Parkinson's disease, but it's different. Which is, what can I say, it's somewhat in remission right now. I just had my hip replaced, so
wow.
I'm feeling pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm still looking forward to getting away from stairs and all of that.
And this has assisted living and memory care, and one of your concerns, I think, as you get older is what happens if one of you dies first, what happens to the other?
We have competition.
And this is perfect with the assisted living and memory. And like I said, my son lives only 15 minutes away, so it's perfect. It's a, perfect storm.
Yeah, and it comes with most of your dinner meals. The units all come with full kitchens, but you don't have to cook dinner.
And his favorite thing is they make your bed for you every week. They come in and change your sheets.
Clean the apartment.
Yeah, and I'm delighted I don't have to cook.
Although Broadview seems like an odd addition to the Purchase College campus, residents like Joe and Jenny are overjoyed to be joining this community and are looking forward to interacting with the students in all facets. Students will have many opportunities to talk to and work with the residents moving in.
Purchase College is hosting an open conversation about researching and honoring the unnamed and forgotten that are said to be buried on campus grounds. The campus grounds history traces back to slavery, and students have shown concern about how little they feel this history is honored. This conversation sheds light on these concerns and offers a plaque as a first step to honor those erased from campus history.
On Tuesday, April 11th, the Multicultural Center here at Purchase College hosted an event called Campus Conversation, researching and honoring the unnamed and forgotten. This event was held for students and faculty to acknowledge the lives of enslaved African Americans believed to be buried on Purchase College land.
The Black community in Westchester, I think there is value in acknowledging this history, just like as you said earlier, because it shows pride, just having like an idea, a level of pride and acknowledgement of the humanity of Black people here. You know what I mean? And the fact that we had a history here. I think that's important and needs to be acknowledged.
I'm hoping that one day I'll open up a family Bible or an archive or in someone's attic, I'll find this plaque. And that hope springs eternal. And that's what you all should be thinking about this project. And one day you'll stumble across a piece of paper that'll talk about these people who were enslaved here and give you a clue for something else.
Well, I've been very frustrated in that while I did all this, there was really no support from the campus. I had no pay to do any of this. I did this as kind of extra service. And this way, the plaque will be kind of an official acknowledgement that the campus should be engaged in this information and discovery process.
On April 25th at 12 o'clock, members of our community will gather at the Humanities Theater and ultimately make their way to the cemetery to unveil the much-awaited plaque to honor the unnamed and forgotten. This was Mariah Tineo, reporting from Purchase College.
Thanks for tuning in to Purchase Broadcast Studios. We'll be back with you after this short break.
Welcome back to Purchase Broadcast Studios, and thanks for sticking with us. The Jefferson Valley Mall, located in Yorktown, New York, has been in decline. Sears, which was an anchor business in this mall, was selected by Sears Corporation to close due to their financial troubles. Since then, the mall has tried to attract other businesses, such as Dick's Sporting Goods, but this attempt is still not drawing many customers to the mall. The Jefferson Valley Mall houses 80 stores composed of 2 floors, totaling 580,000 square feet. This mall should be a highlight of the community, but instead, attendance is at an all-time low. In addition, 26 stores are empty, leaving the occupied store count at 54. Due to low attendance, store closures, and not many attractions, the mall looks abandoned. I have the story to report.
This is the Jefferson Valley Mall on a Saturday before Easter Sunday. The mall should be buzzing and packed with shoppers, but that is definitely not the case, as you can see. Even though attendance is low, the mall is still being maintained and functioning. Electricity is still in use, lights are still turned on, and escalators are still moving up and down. The main entrance of the mall doesn't really stand out. There is a vast amount of parking space to accommodate crowds, but without mall activity, it's not being utilized.
The outside isn't that appealing, and I think if they really redo the outside like a grand opening sign, like a grand reopening, I think it would even draw more people back into it.
As an attempt to draw customers to the mall, Dick's Sporting Goods recently became a tenant. Dick's Sporting Goods is a store specializing in sporting goods and apparel. Washington Prime Group, the mall's owners, did their best to attract Dick's as an attempt to bring customers to the mall to make up for the loss of Sears.
All these stores, man, there's just nothing that people want to do like our age. Like, there's a piano store, like literally it sells pianos, and there's a Lens Crafters right next to me. Like, no one our age wants to go here for that, and I think this just really is killing this mall industry, man. Like, I'd say at most, like, give it a few months, maybe a year, it's on its last legs, really.
The mall has also added some children's sections as an attempt to attract families, but as you can see, it's not currently being used. What has been added is probably not appealing enough to attract crowds of families with children.
As a customer, I'll be walking by and like every other store is closed, so it makes it look more sad too, like as a mall itself. It just seems like a dying business, really. And I think, like, you know, shopping online, like, I hate doing that. I like going to malls for the fun of it, but it's just the way this mall is, it makes me want to buy online more.
Here's a store window of a store that has recently closed and has posted a sign stating, "Closed, thank you Yorktown." This could be subjective. Are the store owners thanking their customers or thanking Yorktown as a reason for them closing?
Yeah, man, I used to work here, but, you know, not a lot of people come in anymore, you know. It's been very bad. A lot of stuff has been happening, you know, COVID kind of messed up the mall. Not a lot of people come around anymore.
This is the center of the mall, which should be bustling with crowds of people making decisions on where to go, or just meeting up with friends. Now it's just another vacant spot.
And now there's only 2 restaurants in the entire mall. Like, there used to be so much more, you know, when it was still popular, and everything, but now they all closed. And, you know, there's only 2. Can't really pick much.
The 2 restaurants in the food court, Pita Place and El Jalapeno, might not be appealing because they are not general or common food.
Before I used to work here, you know, I used to come here with my family and stuff, and, you know, it was really big. You know, we had a movie theater, you know, there was plenty more restaurants, and, you know, there was so much more stuff to do here, but now everything's just, you know, they're gone. Like, it's really fell apart.
The Jefferson Valley Mall was once the center of the community, attracting people from nearby towns. As you can see, it has lost traction, and hopefully it can be revitalized.
On April 21st and 22nd, screenwriters and filmmakers will be showing off their work at POV Fest, a student-run festival held every spring. This year's event is being produced by Hazel Grant and Catherine's Priscillico. Today, our reporter Jaden Doré sits down with them to get their perspective on putting together this event.
Sorry, I'm just really awkward
awkward at making conversation.
You don't have to make conversation. You could just be quiet.
This is POV Fest, a yearly student-run festival where screenwriters and filmmakers come to show off their work. This year's selection of talent will be comprised of 5 screenplays being read out throughout the entire festival and 3 short films which will be shown on a certain day. This year's festival is being run by Hazel Grant and Catherine Basilico.
Okay, so POV Fest is a student-run festival composing short films, plays, and screenplays, and it's an annual thing. And I am a co-artistic director with Hazel Grant, and it's been a really good process, but also it's been a little bit of a hectic process. But that's the trials and tribulations of running a festival, and I'm glad to be doing it in the proximity of a student-run thing so I can learn and hopefully apply it in the future for other productions and such.
Usually the festival will contain 5 short films, but given a lack of submissions, they will only be receiving 3.
What's going to be going on in the festival is on Friday, we're going to have 2 days. So on Friday, April 21st, will be our 3 screenplays and our 4 short films from 8:30 to 10. And then on Saturday, we're going to be having our 3 plays from 7:30 on. And it's just a student-run production, student-run plays, screenplays, so it's just their work being composed and produced in a setting that we create together. So, yeah.
POV Festival will be held on April 21st and April 22nd.
Up until the 20th century, humanity was industrializing at an exponential rate, which has led to many technological advancements. Little did we know, however, we were also destroying the planet in the process. Thankfully, we have, for the most part, started moving in the right direction by limiting our ecological devastation. But one town, out in eastern Long Island, has other ideas. Riverhead, home to 33,000 people and millions of fish and wildlife, could soon become a place of rapid economic growth. Our correspondent, Kyle Young, will paint a picture for you.
The Peconic River is one of the largest rivers on Long Island, with only the Carmens beating it. Being home to hundreds of species of fish, birds, and other wildlife, it is safe to call it one of the most biodiverse and beneficial areas on the island. This could soon change, though, if the town of Riverhead amends a law that was passed in 2015. Article 541 prevented further construction and industrialization on and along the river for up to 250 feet from the riverbank, and the amendment wants to change that to 50 feet. This would seemingly allow for the potential destruction of a major ecosystem and have devastating effects for both the wildlife and people. Here we have a local resident, Jason Wolowitz, who is going to share some of his opinions on the matter.
I think they should leave it. I think the environment is more important than economic gains. I think that there's a lot of things on Long Island, like the water areas, the waterways, the wildlife and stuff that's more important than somebody's $1 million home.
Another local resident, Susan Ferretti, shares similar thoughts on the matter. She has lived here for over 20 years and never seen any major changes until now.
Not all about economic gain. We've survived fine, and there are other things in place to subsidize. We don't have to continually build on our natural resources. Can't get them back.
It's truly a tragic sight when greed and wealth take precedence over the preservation of nature. There is some hope, though, since they will be allowing the public to share their opinions on the matter at the town hall on May 23rd. It is expected that a lot of local residents will show up to fight for their river and preserve their beloved natural beauty. The vote requires all 4 councilmen to vote in favor, so it's very unlikely that the amendment occurs, but the fact that it's even in question is quite concerning for many.
Starting in the spring, the Department of Transportation starts their infrastructure work on the roads of New York City. An already scheduled site location is prepared to mill the roads that are considered bad. The Department of Transportation uses construction companies that are for hire to mill the roads in order for the DOT to be able to repave the road at a later date. The work is bidded out and construction companies compete to win the bid. This year, Bayman Construction got the contract to mill the streets of New York, and they contracted repave construction drivers to carry the millings from the old road to the local recycle plants to be recycled. I reported this story for Purchase Broadcast Studios. For many years, the roads in New York have been made by construction companies. Heavy equipment machinery is used to create new roads or to strip and maintain the roads that we drive on. The operators that drive the machinery make a good salary. For example, the mill operator makes about $140 per hour to rip up the old road. But the truck drivers make the least amount of money, but they do the job that entails the biggest risk. In Queens, New York, a couple of drivers were interviewed, and they spoke on the cons of the trucking industry.
Well, anymore these days, it just seems like everybody's blaming the truck driver for everything. Like, you look at this job site right here, it's all coned off. If a drunk driver came from all the way down there, zigzagged around, and hit me in the back of my truck, they would drag me out of the truck and make me take a drug test before they even tested him. Everything's about deep pockets these days, and the truck driving companies have the deep pockets. People don't care about us, they don't respect us, they don't realize that we're carrying all this weight and we're actually doing work for their town. But as far as they're concerned, everything we do, we're just in their way.
When you first start watching all the different machines working together, it looks confusing. The method seems easy, but at the speed they're working, it looks dangerous.
It can be stressful. It's hard. No, not really. Dealing with other company drivers, that can get under your skin real quick. Guys jelly rolling you, which is the term truckers use. These guys cutting in front of you. But other than that, bosses are okay. Guys on my crew are okay. The process is pretty simple. I mean, there's not much thinking involved in it, you know. 2 or 3 days, and you should catch up on, you know, what they're doing, their process. And if you don't, you should hand in your license, you know.
The more you watch, you can see the progress that is being made to complete the job of milling the street. And when it's done, you can see how neat the finished product looks. Thanks again for joining us today here at Purchase Broadcast Studios. I've been your host, Ray Goodlett.
And I've been your host, Dominic Esposito. Join us again next time here at Purchase Broadcast Studios.